Okay, if I add 7 to both sides, I have 72 equals 3/4 C. How do I get C all by itself? Thank you. And we call that the reciprocal. So if we multiply both sides by the reciprocal, we're going to get our answer. So you typed in 4/3 times 72 in your calculator, and you got I don't know. It's going to be a long day. Thank you, Michelle. Is it 96? We agree? 96. Thank you, dears, in the front table. I actually can use the calculator this morning. The next one says the expression is equivalent to which of the following? Does anyone know the answer? F. Okay, how did you get that answer? What did you do first?
I distributed the 2 and the x squared.
Okay, so if you distribute that, you had negative 2x squared minus 8x minus 18. And then what did you do?
And I just combined my terms.
You combine those two, got x squared. 5x, negative 3x, negative 12, negative 18, and negative 30. Perfect, thank you. Are there any questions about this? Okay, well again, sadly, we're still on area this week. So even though we just messed up area of parallelograms, trapezoids, rhombuses, kites, we're going to keep on trucking with area. And we're going to have to figure out what went wrong last week and not let it happen again this week. Today, we're going to do area of a circle and area of sectors. Yes, I know you don't know what a sector is. We're about to talk about that. For a circle, I bet you already know that formula. It's one you've already committed to memory. A equals pi r squared. Now, the words I've forgotten to use that I'm going to use now. Last week, I was such a dear, sweet person that I wrote those area formulas on the board. I'm telling you, tomorrow there's a matching test. Come Thursday, there will be no formulas handed to you. You need to know your own formulas on your own. You're going to have to step up to the plate. Okay, the first side of our note is for areas of circles. Pi is the button in our calculator, it's 3.14. R means the radius. It is from the center out to the edge of the circle. That's the radius. And most of these are going to be straight plug and chug problems. Okay, so I say that, and we get to this first one, and it's already using words. There's a company that has circular covers for outdoor umbrellas. If the cover is 8 inches longer than the umbrella, find the area of the cover in square inches. Okay, so I know I need to use the formula A equals pi r squared. I'm really just worried about what number to plug in for r. I need to know how long this is. Does anyone know what number that should be?
44.
Yes. Okay, now why is it 44? Because from here to here is going to be 36. Here to here is also 36. 36 plus 8 is 44. So we're using the smaller circle. They gave us the diameter on the smaller circle. We had to figure out its radius. Its radius plus the little extension. I did 36 plus 8, and I got 44. So my radius is 44. You type in 44 squared in your calculator, and you get I'm going to need someone to pull out their phone or something today. We would like to get through these notes so you can go ahead and get your worksheet done. Okay. Now that's a great answer, and that's what I like. But if it says find the area of the cover in squared inches, we can't buy that, so you're actually going to have to press the pi button and approximate your answer. So I need you to do 1936 and press the pi button and see what you get. Say it.
608.
Point what?
Point 1.
Okay. So it's 6,082.1 inches squared. Now that was one thing I noticed on the quiz that I didn't count off on, but on my Chapter 11 test, if you put it wrong, I am going to count off. Area is squared. Area is squared. Okay, is there anyone confused on how we got 44, how we got the 1396? We typed in this whole decimal to get that one. Okay, well then you go ahead and try the next one. See what you get, and please shout out your answer when you have it. Same scenario. Say it again.
314.2.
Okay. I'll give everyone else another second to catch up to Earth, but yeah, he's correct. Okay, just like Derek, I also got 10 for my radius. Does everyone understand how we got 10? 10 squared is 100, so I said 100 pi. When I typed that in my calculator, I got 3.1416, so I rounded to 3.14.2. Again, notice that I'm showing my work. I show which formula I use, what number I'm plugging in, anything I do in between. I show it on my paper. I don't just go straight to an answer. And it's not that I can't. I just want everyone to understand my work, just like you should want me to understand your work on a test. Okay, number 2 says that there's a circle and we're told the area is 58 square inches. So I'm going to plug in that number for A. I need to get R all by itself. So I'm going to have to divide both sides by pi, because pi is just a number. It's a crazy number, but just a number. When you type 58 divided by pi in your calculator, what do you get? 11.6. Point what?
5.
I'm going to say 4.6, but yeah, 18.5 would be great. And then is R, we have to have just an R all by itself, so we need to take the square root of both sides. So the square root of 18.46 equals R. So when you type that in your calculator, what did you end up getting? 4.29 something, which is just 4.3. So we got about 4.3. Now again, if Ayana gets 4.2 or 4.4 for her answer, I'm probably going to give it to her. I've learned to let it go. Thank God we're not the one launching nuclear codes or anything, because I'm being way too broad with my answer. Okay, you go ahead and try the next one. It's the same thing. We've given the area, we need to solve for the radius. When you've got it, go ahead and tell it to me. Good. I'll give everyone else another second to get it together, and then I'll show you what I did too. Just like Derek, I got 3.78, and I just said that was 3.8. I wrote my formula. I plugged in the number given. I divided both sides by pi. I took the square root. I solved for r. I got 3.78, and I just said that was 3.8. If Sarah had 3.7, 3.9, anything within the realm, I'm going to give it to her. But more importantly, if this question is worth 5 points, Keontae goes ahead and gets a 3 out of 5 because he shows all this work. I know his thoughts, I know what he was thinking, and normally he's on the right path. So he makes a typo. I see it on his paper, I can catch it. If Kaylee's doing the exact same thing Keontae did, but she did it all in her head, and she makes just a tiny typo, but I don't see it, I don't know how to help her unless I see it on her paper. Okay, is there anyone confused about the area of a circle? I know you'll be able to match it tomorrow because it's the one with pi in the formula. A equals pi r squared. Flip to the back. Now, I somewhat lied to you, not intentionally. I am going to give you this formula on the test. It will be the one formula on the board on Thursday. The one and only formula on the board. It will be on our matching test tomorrow. I think you will be able to match to it. It has to do with something called a sector, which I know you've never seen before. That's actually what we'll talk about a lot in Chapter 10, which we've skipped for now because we thought 11 was more important. Sector, when I think of the word sector, I think of the word slice. A sector is like a slice of pizza or a slice of pie. It's a section of the circle that we're cutting out. Now, why are we going to calculate how much of this pizza that we're giving to Carrington? I don't know, but we might want to. If we're going to calculate this, we need to not only know the radius, but notice we also need to know how many degrees we're taking out of the circle. And you know a circle adds up to 360, so we cannot take out more than 360. Okay, so our first one, again, I like to write my formula. So degrees divided by 360 times pi r squared. What degrees did they tell us this time? 100. What is my radius? 10. So 10 squared. You can type in that entire line just like that in your calculator, and you will get the right answer. When you type it in, what do you get? But again, I count off maybe 1 between here and here. If Keontae plugs everything in correctly, and he's just made a calculator typo error, he does not lose many points with me. Okay, and I would say you try the next one, because you're completely competent enough, yes. However, they've done something confusing, and so I'm going to let you try it, but let's look at it first. What is different, and it's hard to see because of how awful the copies look today, what is different between the one we just worked and our next example? What has changed?
They gave you what's not the sector versus the sector.
Exactly. So before they told us the sector, the slice that we're pulling out, is 100 degrees. On this next example, they say what we're not pulling out is 20 degrees. So how much are we pulling out? So you go ahead and try and plug in the formula. Tell me your answer. That's the only way they can trick you, and it's really not tricking you, is to give you the degrees of the section they're not pulling out.
145.39.
Okay, so I rounded to 145.4. Okay. Again, the only way they're tricking you on this one, because we all see that the radius is 7, we all see the 20, but we don't plug the 20 into the formula because the 20 is with the section they're leaving. They're pulling out the rest, so we need to do 360 minus 20, and that's why I'm plugging in 340 into my formula instead. So you have to pay attention to what degrees do they give you. Is it for the shaded part or for the not shaded part? 360 minus 20. Because they're pulling out this, and they told me the part they're not pulling out is 20. And I know a circle adds up to 360, so 360 minus 20. That's the only way they could possibly make sectors hard, unless, of course, God forbid, they use words like they do on number 4. So let's look at number 4. First thing I would do is draw my own picture. So something about there's a pie, and it's cut into 10 congruent slices, so I'm going to do my best. There's 2 slices. 4. That's not congruent. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Mine are not congruent, but hey, this is not art class. And I like to write my formula. So degrees divided by 360 times pi r squared. So I've got to figure out my radius, and I've also got to figure out my degrees. Does anyone know what the radius would be?
4.5.
Yes, okay, because they told you the diameter is 9. The radius is half of that, so that means the radius is 4.5. Is there anyone who doesn't understand where we got the radius from? Okay, and then the next part is why I drew my picture. Remind me, how many degrees are in a circle?
360.
Okay, and if I'm pulling out one slice, how many slices are there total? 10. So what's 360 divided by 10? 36. So that one slice that we're pulling out is 36 degrees. So we need to plug in a 36. When you type that in your calculator, what do you get?
22.9.
Ooh. Really? Do it again. That's not what I got. Yeah, I got 6.36. It says in the directions, it actually says nearest hundredth. That's why I did 2 decimal places this time. So 6.36 inches squared. But again, Keontae gets most of his points right here. That last little bit sure does help, but he goes from 100 to a 99. It's really not that big of a deal. Okay, are there any questions about any of that? I have a worksheet. I'm going to see what these girls want. I have a worksheet for you. If you go